Hey folks, welcome back. As you can tell, I'm under the lights tonight. I'm inside my shop. It's kind of a rainy one out here, and so I'm going to work on a project inside my shop as opposed to outside. Now, you often find me out there in the woods, but I do find myself inside the shop from time to time. One of the things I really like doing is building things, and that includes things out of wood, but also things out of metal. Tonight, I'm going to tackle a project that I don't know if I'm going to be able to do successfully, but I think there is a glimmer of hope. And that's enough for me. So I'm going to get underway here in just a minute. And my goal, if you look over my left shoulder, is that I'm going to build a ripper, root ripper, if you will, for my mini excavator. You can see just the end of the excavator there. The bucket is sort of dangling there. That's because I've gone ahead and pulled one of the pins out. I need it for measurements. And I'm going to work at using some of my scrap steel to make one of those root rippers in hope that I can take it out to the forest, use it to help me get down some of those hung up trees. I'm not sure how this is going to go. I think it's going to go well, but we'll find out. Glad you're here to join me. Here we go. So just like any project, I have some scrap steel here. I think this is off of an old truck rack or something. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm figuring. If you look here, this top angle iron used to go on top of the bed, and then that would have been a bar going this way, and these would have gone up vertically. That right there is an old tamper, homemade tamper, but I like the piece of 1-inch thick steel on the bottom. That's going to form the basis for the hook part, the ripper, and then this stuff here is going to form the basis for the top. I'm going to have to use the pin dimensions in order to get a hole drilled, and I'll have two of those, one on each side, and ultimately that'll mount this to that with that pin going through it. At least that's the idea. I got to start cutting, so here we go. Just getting some of my measurements here right off the machine. 4 1/4 between. That'll give me an overall length, give or take 17 inches or so. Quite a hook to that. What do you think? There's the top, so it comes down. There's the hook. I can always, actually I'll probably leave that just rectangular as it is, but I'll take this piece off. I think that's what we're going with. Well, there we have it. There's the basic shape we're going to go with. You can see the little bit of a hook here. All I did was cut an angle there. This piece still has a square cut on it. And then I cut this angle here. Now this is 1-inch thick steel here. And so it certainly takes some effort to cut through it. That was probably the hardest and longest part. I've got these pieces here I cut on an angle, and these are going to provide the support for both sides. You can see that'll go on the other side of this piece. This will be the top bracket here. The pins will go through it, so 1 and 2. You can sort of see the holes there. They'll go on both sides. And this will actually get welded to this. It'll strengthen it up just a little bit before I drill the holes. And this is the actual piece that'll have that welded to the bottom of it. So you'll see that come together. But a little bit of welding coming right up. I need to put some bevels on here, just like that, so that I can get a good deep weld on there. That certainly has to be one of the strongest welds here. And then I'll also I'll put a bevel here on the edges so that I can weld these to there on both sides. And then ultimately that'll get welded to the bottom of this. So that's sort of the plan. Well, we got everything dressed up, ready to go. We're going to fire up the welder in just a minute. I just used an old unit here. This old Mastercraft, this old Buzz box as they call it. This is an arc welder, or many of you will call it a stick welder. That's exactly what we're going to use here. I've got things beveled off as best I could. Keep in mind I'm using some pretty basic tools here. And we've tidied it up so we can hopefully get a good weld on some stuff here. This is going to require a lot of strength. And so we'll fire that up. Here we go. As they like to say, a grinder and some paint makes me the welder I ain't. I think I did half decent. I don't know what you think. I know the professional welders out there will tell me otherwise, but I'd say I did pretty good for that old machine I was using. That's what we're going to tackle here today. We're going to try to dig this thing out, and you're wondering, when on earth did this come down? Well, this came down recently because it's in the way of my master plan. Back at the sawmill, I want to have some setups back here where I can more or less put my slab wood, put my lumber, and put some of the wood that I need to edge. And that's not really going to work too well for me getting in with the tractor or the mini skid steer if I have trees all over. So I took that one down recently. That was pretty ratty looking white pine. In fact, I think the ice storm might have broken the top off it. But that one needs to come out. I could go ahead and grind that down with the stump grinder on the tractor. But I thought, you know what? Instead of getting all that set up for now, let's just see if this works. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, I got to grind it anyways. I'm also planning on using that to help me tackle some of these dangerous trees out here, the ones that are broke off part way up. I'm hoping I can use this to sort of reach up and pull it down. We'll see what happens. Let's put it to work. Here we go. Well, it sure is nice when a plan comes together. I would say everything is looking just as it was when we started. I was a little concerned. You never do know how well your welds are. There's no better way to test them than to put them under some stress and taking out a stump. Now that came out quite well. As you could see, I had to learn a few things, how this operated. I don't know if I've taken out more than a handful of stumps with this excavator before, but more or less I just went around the outside looking for roots that I could break with this thing. Once I figured I got all the roots all the way around, then I could go under it and lift the whole unit up, and that's exactly what we did here. Anyways, I'm going to come back with the tractor. I tried to lift that out of the way, and I just couldn't get it to balance on that single shank there, so we'll come in with the tractor and we'll just take it out of the way. But that's quite a bit nicer having that out of the way. I can grade this now, and it'll look great. Just looking at the overall design, I'm still pretty happy with it. I don't think there's anything obvious that I'm going to add to this at this point. I was talking about having some serrated edges, hooks if you will, along the back. I don't think I'm going to go to that effort quite yet. I don't feel there's a need yet. This machine is not all that big, and so it's not like I'm powering down on a root and I'm going to cut it with the back. It's certainly not powerful enough for that. This thing at the very best can get under a root, and then if it has enough power it can break it off. But you just work your way further away from the stump, I'm finding, and the further you get away, the smaller the diameter of the root, and eventually you get to a part where you can break it, and then that starts the domino effect, if you will. So I think that's going to do it for me here today. All went well, ended well. What we end up with here is something I'm going to put into action quite a bit. At the bottom, all the way to the underside, we're at about 20 inches if you're interested. The back here, this shank is 1 inch thick, and these are angle iron pieces. You would have seen that as I was welding it. They're put together, welded on the top side, the underside, and we have an extra piece of steel that goes up to that angle iron to give extra support. Now there are extra pieces, circular pieces I could weld on here like a collar. I don't have any of that material here, and I was using stuff I just had. Maybe in the future I'll add those on there just to give some extra wear and tear support for those pins rubbing. Aside from that, on the bottom we've got some gussets, 1, 2, and then 3 and 4 on the other side, and a little bit of an edge here, not much. I don't know, I'll play around with that. Not sure if I want it sharp or duller, who knows, but we'll figure out what works best in the long run. So if you like this video, don't forget to give it the old like-a-roo, as I call it. Make sure you subscribe, and if you're interested, check out my older videos where I first got this mini excavator. I'm quite proud of where it's come. It certainly looked like a lot different machine from what you see now. It's performing very well, and I hope for it to continue doing that for some time. And as for the machine over my right shoulder, this thing's a beast. This is my sawmill. If you haven't seen it, I'd encourage you to see this thing cut some wood. It does one heck of a job. This is my new Clark sawmill, model 350/38. Nice Kubota diesel up there. This thing certainly flies through the material, so I'll put some video links to this in a playlist at the end of this video. As always, I appreciate you watching. Make sure if you did like this video, as I said, you know what to do down below, and I'll see you next time.